By Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful weekend. We're going to react to everything that happened over the weekend in the college football, college basketball, and just the sports landscape in general. We'll, of course, get the best and worst of the weekend presented by the Leroy Lounge on Dickson Street. We'll have an SEC update presented by Rhoback. And, of course, get to your chats and your phone calls. 478-344-6623 is that number to call in. But, fellas, how we feeling on a Monday, Thanksgiving week, one of the best holidays around. So, final week of college football in the regular season for most teams. It's a good time right now. It's going to be a busy but fun week.
Yeah, not too shabby, man. I love the chaos in college football right now for sure. I'm looking forward to some Arkansas basketball tonight, regardless of the level of competition coming in. It's always cool to see those dudes play. And yeah, man, Thanksgiving week, holiday week is always a good time. Got a cool basketball game on Thanksgiving Day, but plenty of time to celebrate the holiday afterwards.
Yeah, I'm really glad that tonight's basketball game is frankly one that we don't really have to be concerned about. There's no, even if Arkansas really sucks it up, they'll win by 16. They really played horribly. And so I'm really glad that there's not a threat facing the Razorbacks tonight. So we really don't even have to lock in and watch a barn burner or anything. We can just enjoy what should be a pretty comfortable win and hopefully some steps in the right direction for the Arkansas basketball team. And yeah, the chaos of college football this past weekend was crazy. And I'm sure it's not going to get any less crazy as the regular season ends and transfer portal heats up. And so it's about to be a wild time of year.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun. It always is. It's been very chaotic, but that's what makes it so interesting heading into the final week. So we'll, of course, get into a lot of that. But as most of you know who have been watching us here at Inside Arkansas and Inside Arkansas Live, you know that on Mondays we normally go a little bit delayed from our noon start time because Sam Pittman meets with the media starting at noon every Monday. And this week was no different. A lot of cases and a lot of times he opens and talks about his opponent, how awesome they are, how great they are, they're well coached, all that crap. And a lot of it is just kind of throwaway lines and everything. But there were a few things that we're going to bring up and discuss here today. But as you see from the title of the stream, a lot of the interesting part, if not the most interesting part, came kind of towards the end of the press conference where, as we know, portal season's just about to really get hot and heavy. You're going to have signing day for high school recruiting in the early signing period. You're going to have all the chaos and madness going on for every team. So it's a matter of, okay, well, how does this work out? How do you balance it out? And Sam Pittman was asked about NIL, but one of the most fascinating things is when he was asked about, is there going to be more NIL money this offseason than in previous years? Just point blank asked. Well, here's his answer.
I don't, but I think we can combine it. In other words, I think we can go a year contract over where we're at NIL with where we're going to be revenue sharing, combine it for a year's time, possibly pay the kids like the NFL does.
Okay, that's not what ended up going on, but he basically goes out and to say that they're not going to be having more NIL. They're going to try to combine it with the revenue sharing. That's going to be happening this summertime where every school is going to be going through that. But for any of the people that heard or been reported or whatever, it's like, hey, NIL is better or they have more NIL. It's not necessarily the case. They're just going to try to combine it, which I think a lot of schools are probably going to do the same thing once revenue sharing is made official in the summertime in July.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing about that revenue sharing is, first of all, I mean, it's going to happen, but it's not officially official yet. I think that's the case. And so when it actually takes place, we don't know. The Title IX aspect of it is also something to keep an eye on there. I mean, football will get the lion's share, I'm sure, but that entire pot's not going to go directly to them. But then, everyone else is going to have that as well, or going to have to figure out a way to come up with that. And so will there be more NIL as a result? Yes, but are they really closing the gap that much with everybody else? Not necessarily. And then, my whole thing on this is if I am a person entering the transfer portal or a high school recruit, anybody who's going to be looking for NIL, I am seeing this and my price tag is automatically going up, right? It's just the cost of doing business, man. It's inflation. And so it's interesting. And I mean, I don't know exactly how much NIL they had to work with last year. I mean, I know they got an influx because of the Slobber Hog campaign and some different donations or whatever. So like there's money there. Is it enough to make a dent or really close the gap with some of those other schools? You tell me.
Well, and the truth of the matter is, like, it's really, I know that we like to pretend like it's a thing where there's just a massive pool of, we have X amount of money for NIL and that's what they pull from. And that's to an extent, that's maybe how it is, but it's a case by case basis. It's a negotiation basis. It's a, hey, we really need this linebacker. We really like this linebacker. Well, he wants this. Okay. Do we have that? And then you kind of just go from there. So it's not really a set amount of or something like that. But Sam said something very interesting earlier in the press conference, and he basically framed it as, when I took the job at Arkansas, all I had to worry about was scholarship money and just the cost of attendance. And things went well. We go 9-4. Now NIL's a thing, and we just didn't have access to enough money. And he basically framed it as, with this new revenue sharing thing, the playing field is going to be even again. I'm sure he thinks that, and he believes that. I do not believe that to be true. I don't think anybody else believes that to be true, that this is just going to go back to where all teams are kind of playing under the same circumstances. In fact, I know he doesn't believe it, because he even said he feels sorry for some of the non-Power 4 conferences and some of those teams, even teams in Power 4 conferences. He knows that there's going to be an uneven playing field, but he kind of framed it as like Arkansas is going to be in a good spot in that playing field, which I know we'll see how it works out. I mean, there's a whole offseason ahead. We'll find out. But I thought that was very interesting that he framed it that way, of like, oh, before we were doing well when the playing field was even, we got a little off track because the playing field wasn't even. And now he's kind of implying that it's going to be even for Arkansas again. And so I can't really tell. I don't know if he's like playing coy, but I hope in his brain doesn't really think that like revenue sharing is just going to solve all the issues, and he won't have to worry about paying players, because you're still going to have to pay a lot of players.
Yeah, I was, when you hear things with coaches in their press conferences, whenever they're bringing up NIL, they're always, at least more often than not, going to talk about NIL, how it's not enough, and almost like a ploy to motivate and incentivize everyone out there of, I'm not saying it's terrible, but we need help, so you better reach deep in those pockets and help us out. I didn't get that from Sam Pittman this time. This wasn't I'm doing this to try to get the more. It was more of him, once again, being honest, and I think being extremely honest about how the setup is. And from my understanding, I agree with you, Andrew, and the way that the revenue sharing is going to be set up. There's going to be a $20 million deficit that every school is going to make sure that they take, because nobody wants to be left behind and like, well, I know we can do up to 20 million, but I only want to do 15 million. It's like, no, every school is going to do 20 million. So you're going to have to do 20 million as well. And when everyone does that, then it goes back to, okay, so the NIL that you were getting besides that is going to be added onto it, but it's still going to be other people donate. It's not like everybody gets more money or only one certain schools get money. It's still going to revert back to, okay, everyone has a deficit, everyone's taking that revenue sharing, but how much more NIL you got? Like, I just don't think it's going to change things that much for the bigger schools compared to the smaller schools. And so when, you've heard people say, or being reported or whatever, it's like, hey, Sam Pittman, Arkansas, they have more NIL money. It sounds like that is the case, but it's not NIL in the way that we see it or what we've seen it before. It's more of you're getting more NIL because of the revenue sharing that literally everyone's going to have at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it looks like there. So I don't know, man. There's just so much unknown right now with the revenue sharing and what it's actually going to look like and when it's actually going to be a thing, that it's just interesting to me how people are kind of banking on that so far, which, I don't know. But like, it's not like other schools are going to stop spending, and stop collecting to their, collectives, stop collecting to the collectives. I was trying to avoid saying that. I said it anyway, but you get the picture. And, it does. It gave off a different vibe than, like, I remember Cal's intro presser when Hunter Yurachek was like, yo, that Tyson check's not in the bank. Like, we keep donating everything. And Cal's got all the NIL money he needs to get this done, but you never say that you have enough because you don't want to discourage people from making donations. Kind of to your point, like I understand that completely, but this did give off kind of a little bit of a different vibe. And I wonder, I'm not saying I have a great and perfect understanding of exactly how this is going to work, but I wonder if anyone does, including Sam Pittman, after hearing some of those conversations there.
No, 100%. And I mean, you said you're not sure if anybody's going to know how it works. I think that's absolutely accurate. Like, I think anybody who truly feels like they have a full grasp on what Arkansas has to work with, how they stack up in the SEC, anyone who tells you they have a definitive answer is just BSing. But I think there's just a lot of nuance to this. And again, it changes every day, every week. So it's like one of those things where we kind of view it in our head of just like NIL, good. You want a lot of it. Arkansas, we need more. It's like we don't really like. There's no real like parameters you can place on it. This is one of those situations though where I hope Sam Pittman is just kind of playing coy at the press conferences, because he does do that. We know he does that at this point. We know that what he says at a Monday press conference isn't necessarily to be taken as gospel. And he's even kind of said as much himself about the injuries and stuff like that. And he was playing coy with the Patrick Kudus thing last Monday, where he was like, oh, I don't know, maybe we'll play Patrick Kudus. I hope this was just Sam kind of maybe joking. I really don't know. I hope, like you said, Curtis, I hope he's not just banking on that revenue sharing, which again, we don't really even know for sure what the effect is going to be, how it's going to change things. So I hope that seriously isn't his plan. And I don't think it is. I think he's just kind of playing a little coy and just kind of, trolling a little bit at the press conference.
Well, that's what I think if you're a Razorback fan, you're hopeful for. And, this is a kind of a point that Aiden brings up here, which I think is also something that maybe gets overlooked a little bit. But he's like, is it the problem not so much NIL and money, but how we in particular are spending it? Some years you'll hit on a player like Drew Sanders. Other years you get a Blackstock. And that's 100% true, because just like in the NFL, I mean, how many times have you seen an NFL player sign a big contract and they weren't even close to living up to that? Especially in a lot of the quarterback ranks. Deshaun Watson just jumped into my mind. If somebody's like, okay, well, you got all that money, doesn't live up to it. So that's just part of sports. It's going to be part of it. You're going to miss on some guys as much as everyone like. But I think that there is something to be said about looking at him and be like, okay, how much is this guy worth? Is he going to be worth what he wants $300,000. We're off from $250,000, but then this other school is giving him $400,000. Like how much is it worth of that little pile of cash that we have over here to get this guy? I think that's all going to play a pretty big factor into all of it. So, it's part of the NIL, and it's part of the culture, and it's part of the thing. And it's almost like every coach, every athletic department, they want to come out and say, or at least give the idea that they know what they're doing. But I don't think anybody does. I really don't. I think it's just a hopeful. Like, well, we hope that this is going to be what it's going to be like. We're hopeful that, because you can't plan for it. There's so much chaos in it. It's hard to plan for it too. And I wanted to also play this clip from Sam Pittman, which is talking about players staying compared to going as far as where your money goes. So you're more important or trying to focus on the guys, keeping them on the campus, or focusing on getting new guys. And he talked about balancing that too.
I mean, about Wednesday or Thursday of next week, I'll let you know. But obviously, you have a core group of guys that we have our record 6-5, so it's not what everybody wants and all that, including me. But we do have a good core group of players that we need to return. And so we've got to do that first. And then you look in your pool and you say, okay, how much I got? Well, I need this many, this position. I need this many, this position. I need, and then you kind of look at it and you say, in the past, if we got 100,000, somebody else got 300,000, we're done. We're out of it. I don't care what people say. You can't talk a guy because he likes you in a $200,000 transition. By the way, if any of you guys got $200,000 more, you'd be gone too. And so now we have it. So let's see what we can do with it.
So again, nothing surprising there, but I think I like his approach and his honesty about it. It's like, hey, nobody's going to stay because they like me for $100,000 when they're given $300,000 somewhere else. So very honest, but just, it's always interesting to hear head coaches and people who are involved to talk about it in such a very honest manner too.
But also contradictory. Like, do you have it or do you not?
Exactly.
Like, I don't understand.
That's what I'm like. I'm like, you can't say, hey, we haven't had a huge influx in NIL. We're just banking on the revenue sharing to kind of help us. Because he's like, I don't know. It is very contradictory. And again, I hope he's just trying not to show too much. Because honestly, if I were a head coach, I don't know what I would be saying publicly in these situations. But I will say, I was watching, did y'all see Kenny Dillingham, the Arizona State coach the other day, where he came out and was like, guys, we got to get these guys on this team paid. They're
The Sun
underpaid.
Devils are underpaid. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's really championing it for it and being like, hey, we need to get these players as much money as we can. And I feel like just players have to be paying attention to the way that these coaches talk about NIL. And I get it. Like, I get all the coaches probably deep down hate it and don't like to have to do this. But I do think there are negative effects to publicly being very anti-NIL, which, frankly, Pittman and Yurachek have both been very anti-NIL publicly for years now. They've been pushing against it, saying how it's ruining the sport, it's ruining all this, and we don't like it. It's putting us at a disadvantage. Where I'm looking around the country and seeing other coaches who really see it as an opportunity to make something happen. Hey, we can do something we maybe haven't done before. And in Dillingham's case, like, he even admitted, he's like, we did what we did this year without the NIL stuff. Like, we really are just get a bunch of scrappers here. So think about what we could do with like a real pool to work with. And so I think it's just going to be one of those things. And I think Pittman has made some strides in terms of embracing it, but he still, again, contradicts himself in terms of how he feels about Arkansas' NIL situation and kind of where they stack up compared to their competitors.
I've always felt like the best way of knowing how good someone has NIL, or at least spinning it the right way, is a matter of retention of their best players. If you're retaining your best players year over year, I don't care what anybody says. Say, I use the example of KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders, which I know last year wasn't great for them, but you're going into that offseason, they were two of the best at their positions in the SEC, stayed at Arkansas. My whole argument was that, hey, KJ and Rocket aren't saying, you know what, I'm going to stay here at Arkansas for $50,000, even though Auburn, Ole Miss, whoever's offering me $300,000. They're just not doing that. And so I do believe the retention is important. But like you said, it's all over the place. Like with Sam Pittman coming out and just, again, I don't know. I don't know if he fully understands or grasps how it all works, and maybe he's not involved in it. Like I don't know. Is that something that these players approach him personally as a head coach? Be like, hey, coach, I need more money because this is getting offered to me. Or is it somebody that is an assistant coach? Or is it someone, the director of player personnel? I don't know. I don't know who handles all of this. And is it something to where, you have Pittman writing notes, be like, okay, so how much you want? Okay. All right. Well, let me talk to Hunter real quick and we'll see if we can make this happen. No promises, but we'll see. I don't know how that process works. I don't know if we ever will, but
Bro, they need to go to Wall Street and hire some smart dude who understands numbers to handle all of this, man. Like literally, you see, I know some college basketball programs have done it. I guess football has too, but like going out and hiring a GM or whatever that just kind of handles all of this with NIL and what you have coming in, what you have coming out, like what you have to pay to retain guys, what you have to pay to go get guys, and just having a pulse on what the market is going to look like so you can make informed decisions. So you're not insulting by somebody with an offer and you're not overpaying for certain things. I mean, it's a complete mess. And, like I'm not, Sam Pittman and those guys get paid handsomely to do this job. But they've got a lot on their plate just in terms of preparing these guys, actually going through the recruiting process and everything else. Like you add that on top of, and you start asking these guys to do math, then it gets a little bit tricky. So you're almost to the point where everybody needs to create that spot on the staff where someone just handles the numbers. And it ain't Arkansas Edge. It's just,
need Jordan Belfort in there, somebody like that to do it.
I'm telling you, man.
Well, here's my thing so look, we all have our opinion on what Arkansas's football program should do, what they should do. Should they fire Pittman? Should they keep him? Whatever. Ultimately, like, it doesn't matter what we want. Doesn't matter what y'all want. Like, they're going to go in the direction they go in. But I keep thinking back to our conversation last week at the Leroy, where we were like, all right, if you're going to run it back with Pittman, what's the case for that? The case is, okay, you've got, year one of the Bobby Petrino thing. Let's see how that looks in year two. You got a nice core group of some guys like a Talon, like a Braylon Russell. You've got your Isaiah Satania. Let's just return that, build around it. The problem is Arkansas is going to have a substantially better roster next year to improve their record, especially if they end up 7-5, which, by the way, we would all agree 7-5 is a good year. But just looking at the schedule, like, Arkansas is going to have to upgrade their talent a good bit, which, again, maybe they can do, maybe they can't. But the problem is you can't say, hey, we're running it back with Pittman and we don't think we can improve the roster. Both of those things cannot be true. They
Right.
both kind of have to be true. And then next year, with whatever happens, because look, every game Arkansas lost this year, we would hop right on this stream and they would say, well, it's just the NIL and it's just the talent. And, they just, they're playing with a hand that they couldn't, it's just a hand they were dealt. They don't have enough money. They don't have enough talent. We can't do that next year. If we're going to run it back and we're going to go all in on this one more year, let's see if we can make it work. There's a lot of pressure on this offseason, and there's a lot of pressure on the kind of roster that they're going to have to put together. And so I just wonder what these conversations are going to look like next year if Arkansas's roster turns out to be below average. And it's like, oh, well, the NIL, revenue sharing, like, are we just going to keep having these same conversations, or is there going to be a big picture change at some point?
So let me ask you guys this. As far as the players that are currently on the roster, who's the number one priority when it comes to the NIL to making sure they stay on this roster next season? I mean, is it Taylon Green? Is it Jalen Braxton? I mean, who is it?
Probably has. Yeah.
Probably has.
Coot.
Cootis was going to be up there on that list.
Yeah. Now here's another one.
He's the best you got.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Sori's draft prospects are like. He's a redshirt junior. I think if you get Sori back, that would be a big deal. I want to say Larry Worth is still has some eligibility left. Like, there's a few of those guys that are like juniors, sophomores that probably are going to be playing college football next year. Like, I'd make sure you can get one of those guys, one of your like actually good defenders. But I don't know. There's not a long list though of like guys where it's like they got to bring this guy back. I mean, Taylon, of course, is up there, but again, half the fan base wants to. No, I just mean like he's one of the guys that you would think of. But again, I don't know how you can replace your quarterback and then still do the same thing of like, well, we're running it back for one more year 2 of the Petrino offense. I think if you're keeping Pittman, you have to keep Taylon Green.
Yeah. And I think if you have Petrino, I assume he's wanting to keep Taylon Green.
Right?
Yeah. So I don't know if Taylon Green's even going to have any other offers to go elsewhere. And if he does, what he even looks like. These are the things that we'll probably never know, and probably never know really what it looks like. But yeah, I think that because somebody told me the other day, it's like, hey, what are the chances we keep Landon Jackson? None. Just like there's some that are gone.
It's crazy they kept him this year.
Yeah. Like Andrew Armstrong's gone after this year. Jaquindon Jackson is gone after this year. Like there's some guys that are either out of eligibility or they're going pro, whatever it is. But that's all it's going to be. So you just got to make sure you prioritize that and keep it the right way. And also, like, just the players that they have currently on the roster now, I don't know which ones are going to have a lot of suitors. Like I would assume Luke will be definitely one that has a lot of suitors. I think Jalen Braxton will be one that has a lot of suitors. So who knows? Maybe Cootis is one of those as well. So there's just a lot of uncertainty in that, and that's what it's going to make this next week or two really, really interesting and chaotic. So be sure you're following us here on Inside Arkansas because we're going to keep you up to date on the portal news of people who's staying, people who's going.
It's like he said. Ask me that question Wednesday or Thursday of next week because
everything could change and look completely different in a week. Like you're talking about a roster, it's just ravaged for Arkansas and everyone's gone. It could absolutely look that way here in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun. And also this is just kind of a side note, but how come no one brought up Braylon Russell's tweet to Sam Pittman? For those of you who did not see it over the weekend on Saturday.
I'm sure he already deleted it.
He did, but still, it's like he said, I'm not injured. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, Pittman said Saturday after the game that he was like, oh, yeah, he's healthy. I need to figure out why he didn't play. Like, he went back to that thing. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those weird things where nobody knows. I guess they just forgot Braylon Russell existed, and who knows. But I don't think I would be expecting Braylon Russell to be a part of the 2025 Arkansas Razorbacks.
No, if I was a betting man.
Half-assedly mentioned him when he was – and Tom kind of had to force him into it when he was like, hey, who are some players you're excited about, young players? And then Tom was like, what about Braylon Russell? And he's like, yeah, Russell. We'd like to build around Russell. But yeah, I didn't like the vibes there.
He's back to 4th string on the depth chart.
Yeah.
I just don't.
It seems like they botched the situation. Let's just be honest. They botched it.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, big game against Mizzou, Battle Line rivalry, right? And Saturday. It's not Friday, folks. It's on Saturday. So.
I know, honestly, and people will get pissed about this, and I don't really care. I'm really looking forward to that game, and I hope Arkansas goes up there and kicks their asses. I am. I really do. I know people are upset about the season and, you know, the coach and the NIL and all that stuff. But Eli Drinkwitz sucks, man. And so I think we can all come together and rally around going up there and beating that dude.
Yeah.
100%.
I laughed about it. Sam Pittman, and I should have pulled the clip up, but he was basically like, yeah, Eli Drinkwitz told me from the beginning he's going to mix it up with us a little bit to increase the rivalry, but shoot, he mixes it up with everybody. He's basically saying he's a jerk and then to everybody. So, yeah, I'm excited about the game. I really want to win that game. I'm sick and tired of losing to Missouri, and not saying that Arkansas is just a far and away better team, but Arkansas, you are good enough to beat Missouri on the road. You are good enough, but doesn't mean you will, but you are good enough this year. Be nice.
This is a vulnerable Missouri team, I would say. I think they're kind of, I don't know. I didn't watch them against Mississippi State. I'm sure they looked great. But it seems like during the second half of the year, it doesn't look like they're firing on all cylinders necessarily down the stretch. But I don't think Arkansas is either. So it's going to be one of those interesting things. Pittman even said they can't afford to have a performance like they had last year, which should go without saying. But I think there's a lot of pressure on this game, or at least there should be. It seems like it doesn't matter how much they lose by, like he'll be fine. But like seriously, like I think this one game will tell us a lot about what we can realistically expect, what direction the program is heading. If they go out there and beat Missouri by 10 in Como, I think everybody who's been complaining, and like we've been complaining as well, we've had a lot of questions about the direction of the program. I think that would do a lot towards kind of winning us over and making us think, okay, they might actually be able to do something here. There is some positive momentum. I think that would actually be notable. But if you go out there and lose by double digits, every question we've been asking gets heated up, gets ramped up. And then you're going to have an off season full of turmoil, full of the fan base being pissed. I think there's a lot more pressure on this game than I think we realize.
The last thing you need to do is lose this game. And then it's kind of like Sam Pittman was talking about, then having a month between that and whatever your bowl game is and trying to recruit the portal and, you know, really build for the future in the meantime and everything. Like it would be rough, but everybody needs to understand what we're saying in that they go lose to Missouri on Saturday. It does not impact Sam Pittman's job status at the University of Arkansas. Does not.
Nope.
It's done. No. If he wants to come back, he's back.
Regardless of what happens, he is going to be the head coach of Arkansas next season. So,
and I would just like to clarify, we didn't make that decision.
Correct.
Don't yell at us about it. In fact, we kind of advocated against it, but
Yeah. And also, too, which people can say whatever they want about the rivalries or the trophy games and all that, but if Arkansas loses Missouri, guys, that's going to be 3 straight seasons that Arkansas goes trophyless of their games
after winning them all.
Yeah. In 2021, you won them all, and then, which for those you may not know, yes, A&M, that one has a trophy. LSU, of course, with the Golden Boot, and then the Battle Line rivalry. So that'd be 3 straight years that you would not have any of those trophies. And
there's no more trophy against A&M, right? There's no chance for them to win it again.
Yeah.
That's true.
Is this going to be another one of those games in Columbia where it's 28 degrees and sleeting or something up there?
Probably. It looks like it. There's a chance of it.
I mean, it's supposed to snow in Kansas City Thursday, so I imagine it just kind of treks its way over to the middle of the state or whatever. So
I can't wait to try to figure out my own mind and be like, does the weather hurt or help Arkansas if it's snowy and sleety? You know, is that a benefit? Is that going to be an advantage for them? Something like that. So, by the way, folks, speaking of bowl games and bowl seasons and everything, I was just curious. We were using this as the Alumni Hall question of the day, sponsored by Alumni Hall, and you check it out with all the great apparel that they have. You can shop online at alumnihall.com. Got it all right there for Peter Millar, Johnny O, Columbia, Southern Tide, everything that you could possibly want for Razorback apparel for men, women, kids, everyone. Get at Alumni Hall, 3417 North College Avenue, as well as shopping online at alumnihall.com, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. Wherever Arkansas ends up going to a bowl game, because we all know that they will officially be going to a bowl game, will you attend said bowl game? And the questions, or at least the options, were yes, no, or depends on where it is and who it's against, things like that. As of right now, 53% of you say no. Not even no dependence or anything, just no, not going to the bowl game. 38% of you say depends on when and where and what's going on there. And then 9% of you said yes. So,
yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand there's levels to this with the bowl. Like, I'm always excited for some extra football anyway. even though the traditional bowls have completely lost their luster with the transfer pool and everything. Sam even said it himself. Somebody who's a 3 right now could probably be a starter by the time they get to the bowl because of attrition. So it's not really a reflection on what the teams have been all year when they go play. It's like a weird glorified spring game against somebody else, which I'm not crazy about. But what's the best case scenario here for Arkansas if they go beat Missouri? Because right now we're looking at Liberty Bowl or Birmingham Bowl or something. If they win, maybe they get to Vegas Bowl conversations. But guess what? Ole Miss lost, and now I'm seeing them in all those projections. Who are you going to take, Lane Kiffin or Sam Pittman for the Vegas Bowl if you're trying to sell tickets? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe they could get to the Texas Bowl, or maybe Texas beats A&M and then they're 8-4 again, and then they go there. You know what I mean? So it's like it's not going to be that sexy of a game regardless, I don't think.
Well, I would throw in, just because when you brought up Ole Miss, I'm not saying this would for sure happen, but it'd make me wonder how many would they be like, oh, more Razorback fans would be willing to attend a Vegas Bowl than Ole Miss fans attending a Vegas Bowl, because Ole Miss fans may be upset and disappointed when they fell short and they're not caring because they're not in the playoff. Like, I'm not saying that for sure would go into the decision.
I think they're also thinking about people around, there that might just feel compelled to go to a game.
Yeah.
They're going to want to see Lane Kiffin in that offense more than they're going to want to see, whatever Arkansas has got going on at the time. But I feel you. Yeah, I feel
it is weird. We're like, if you really just think about the SEC, how many teams are going to be excited to go to their bowl? Obviously, there's going to be a couple that make the playoff. They'll be excited, maybe 3 or 4. But it's like, that Ole Miss, like, they're not going to be thrilled about whatever bowl they're going to.
Vandy will.
Fans are not going to be thrilled. Arkansas fans aren't going to be thrilled. Missouri, if they lose to Arkansas, I don't think they're going to be thrilled about their bowl. Like, there's not going to really be an SEC team that's like, hell yeah.
Except for Vandy. Sorry.
Vandy. Vandy is the one.
Vandy will be. Florida's flying high again.
Yeah. Florida's looking
They
good.
sure didn't think they were going to get there. If Auburn beats Alabama and actually gets to a bowl after all this, they might be excited. But at the same time, it's almost pathetic. Like,
It is. It really is. Well, for those of you who look at bowl projections and whatnot, these are a few of the ones that the experts have Arkansas pinned up against. This comes from Brett McMurphy. He's got Arkansas in the Texas Bowl in Houston against Baylor. Baylor 7-4 right now, so that would be December 31st at NRG Stadium.
Does it do anything for y'all?
No,
it doesn't.
It'd be better than Liberty Bowl or Birmingham, but
Agreed.
It doesn't be like pump me up. Like, and also, you don't play. When was the last time you played Baylor? And when you were in the Southwest Conference, so it'd be a new, unique matchup. But
We can't run that simulation back, though, is the thing.
Oh, yeah, you did already. Yeah. But we didn't play it in the Texas Bowl, though. We didn't.
True,
So, venues matter.
That actually is my number one desire, because I've got a wedding to go to December 28th. So that would be very convenient from that standpoint. And I have a brother that lives in Houston. That would be very, very ideal. New Year's Eve is my least favorite holiday anyway. So it's like, if, I'm definitely not above hanging out on New Year's Eve doing a little post-game stream. I think I could get behind the Texas Bowl. It would definitely do a lot more for me than Birmingham or Liberty.
Well, speaking of, Mark Rhoback has Arkansas in the Birmingham Bowl against North Carolina. Well, Jacoby Criswell revenge game as the backup quarterback or something like that. I don't know. So just trying to make something out of it, whatever I can. And then this other guy, is it Bonagura?
Yeah,
he's on ESPN.
Other ESPN guy.
Yeah, he has Arkansas. This is what's funny. He has them in the Liberty Bowl on December 27th, but against Baylor as well. So I'm like, give me Baylor in Houston instead of Baylor in the Liberty Bowl if we're going to be making choices here.
Good Lord, yeah.
There's no way the Liberty Bowl wants Arkansas, right? They've had Arkansas enough.
Dude, that's why they want Arkansas, because it's so close. They know people will travel to it. I mean, plain and simple. They don't want Florida.
They have to please take anyone else. I'm begging you, city of Memphis, take anyone else, bro. Please.
I'm hoping so. Oh, because don't worry, it gets better, because Jerry Palm from CBS Sports has Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl against Kansas State. We've never seen that before. We've never seen that game before, ever, which I laugh about.
Killing me, man.
Dude,
that would be
I know.
crazy.
I know.
I will just tell you right now, I'm not going to the Liberty Bowl, no matter who they play. I don't care if they play the goddamn national championship in the Liberty Bowl. I'm not going to it.
I'm not going. I said before I'm not going to. I'm never going to do it again. I do have the person who's this? I'm not going to call him out, but somebody was like giving a note in there, like, this will be a rematch of the 2012 Cotton Bowl. I'm like, it actually be the rematch of the 2015 Liberty Bowl. That was more recent than that. So USA Today has the Texas Bowl versus Baylor as well. 24/7 Sports has Liberty Bowl against TCU, so you'd get the rematch of the game that didn't exist from the Texas Bowl, but just in a different venue. Somebody gets a little crazy here. Bill Bender from Sporting News. He has Arkansas going to the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth on December 27th against West Virginia.
Well, that doesn't make any sense, but that does more for. Give me that. Give me the North Carolina game. I'm sorry, like, I'm a young guy. I wasn't alive during the Southwest Conference times, but I'm telling you right now, I do not want to see Arkansas playing one of those teams. Miss me with Baylor. Miss me with TCU. I don't want to freaking see it. Play somebody we don't see. For the love of God, to make it somewhat interesting or different or something. Please.
Well, although Arkansas's postseason success against North Carolina has been up and down. Basketball, not very good. Baseball, they had a nice little super regional win, but I don't know. I don't know if Arkansas basketball fans can take another postseason loss to North Carolina.
I don't think any of them give a damn if it's in the Birmingham Bowl. Or
I'm just upset Curtis is giving no credit to the 1995 CarQuest Bowl against North Carolina that Arkansas lost. I mean, come on, man. You not remember that barn burner of a game? But no, I'm actually with you though, Curtis. I don't care about Baylor, which they haven't played since the Southwest Conference, but that doesn't do anything for me. But playing West Virginia, I'm like, okay, you know, those people are crazy over there. They're a bunch of hicks. Yeah. Let's get crazy with it.
They're a lot like us, you know.
Insane. And this is the one that really would Steve Lassen from Athlon Sports. This is the one to just be dumb because none of it makes sense. It's the Birmingham Bowl, but against Memphis.
Oh.
So you get to play Memphis next year, but then you get to play them not in Memphis in the Liberty Bowl, but you get to play them down in Birmingham. So, woo.
Yeah.
But that's what you got. Those are the breakdowns of bowl season. Fun.
Like,
can't wait to see them all.
What type of team would you guys want to see? Like, I mean, I would just prefer to see Arkansas play like a Big Ten team or just something. I don't know.
I feel like they never play, and I know it's all about connections and everything, but like, I know the Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore, but somebody like that, like West Coast out, have them play Arizona State or something.
Yeah, just give it an exotic feel, man. Just something different. Something like, I don't want to do the thing where it's a regional team and it's like, oh, we play this bowl game, and then afterwards all we're talking about is, well, they should play every year at the Cotton Bowl or whatever. I don't give a damn, man.
I want the worst team possible. Give me the worst possible opponent. Give me the easiest win. I really don't care. Like, I really don't. Like, again, like you said, Curtis, I'll do like whatever song and dance I need to do, regardless of whoever they schedule, of like, well, Jacoby Criswell or, oh yeah, Kendall Briles or whatever it is. But it does not matter to me. You could pick them out of a hat, and it really is not going to like really. I mean, at least a lot of these ones that we're listing off, none of them got me out of my chair where I was like, whoa, that would be cool. Like, they're all pretty much the same to me. Whichever one is trending this way is the one that I want.
And also keep in mind, folks, that and again, this is my assumption, which we know what assuming does, but my assumption is this is also based on Arkansas not beating Missouri. So if they beat Missouri, then maybe that puts them in contention for Nashville for the Music City Bowl, something like that. Maybe.
I feel like it's like the dudes who are saying Texas Bowl are projecting Arkansas to beat Missouri, and the people that are saying Liberty or whatever else, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't. 7-5 going to get you to Nashville? I don't know, man. Maybe.
It did once for because I guess I could say, like, who played in the Music City Bowl last year, anyways.
I want to say it was a 7-5 team
because Arkansas, the Trans Perfect, by the way, Music City Bowl, that's what it's called. But I know Arkansas's only played in it once, and that was in 2002, where they lost to Minnesota, and that was a disgusting and ugly game. But as far as last year, you had, pull it up right here, you had Maryland and Auburn last year.
Auburn made a bowl last year?
They were 6-6.
6-6,
I guess
yeah.
6 can get you the Music City Bowl.
Yeah, I guess so.
According to this.
I used to have a very firm grasp on just like the ranking of the bowls of like, if you're the best SEC team, you're going here. If you're the second best, you're going here. Now it's like all out of the window where I'm just like, you know, I mean, we literally just read off 7 different projections.
It's like
where Arkansas could go.
Well, it's like Mississippi State under Joe Moorhead, his final game or his final year there. Mississippi State went to the Music City Bowl against Louisville.
So 6-6 does it apparently.
Apparently, I don't know. It's all
I
just
always
like
thought
everything
that was a
else.
decent bowl.
See how they too.
It used to be back in the day, man.
I think Vegas may have taken it over as being like the better bowl, and so maybe they've got knocked a step down.
Well, if they're not in Vegas or in the Pop-Tart Bowl, I don't care.
Yeah.
What about the Duke's Mayo Bowl? Like get mayonnaise. Wow. Could you imagine Sam Pittman getting mayonnaise poured on him?
Fresh off hip surgery, covered in mayo.
Just like God intended. Just what everybody would be looking forward to there. But yeah, there's your bowl projections, folks. And if you're not excited, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what else to do to get you pumped up for these potential bowl matchups. It's so good and so much fun. Let's see a few to the chats, folks, because I know we got to get through some other segments here too. But Hickory says Lane can't go to Vegas. His girlfriend isn't old enough to get into the casino.
That's a good one.
All right, appreciate you, Hickory. DRA said Pittman said he was never worried about his job this season. Maybe that was part of the problem. He coached like he was not worried. His usual lazy, bumbling approach. That's what he's throwing out there.
I thought that was interesting that he said he wasn't worried about his job this season because he literally told reporters at the A&M game when they interviewed him on the sideline, I know that I'm on the hot seat. I know how important this game is. Why lie? One of those had to be a lie. I mean, you said you knew you were on the hot seat early in the year. Now you're saying you were never worried about your job. One of those is a lie, and I don't know why you would lie in either one of those cases.
He did a great job of being in that response the other night, like being very defiant, but then also doing it's about the kids and I'm going to fight for Arkansas thing at the same time. It was really interesting. Like you got both ends of the spectrum there, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, then he had said that where he'll be like, I don't care if I get fired. I just care about the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like that kind of is a very big, the kids are very involved in that decision. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it'd be stupid not to be worried about your job, frankly.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and play that clip just so people have the context of it from Sam Pittman after the game against whoever they played, Louisiana Tech. Yeah, them.
I'm not going to do the message to fans, but guys, y'all's been making a lot of money off of, is the guy doing this, the guy doing it, or whatever, or your opinion, whatever. I've never one time worried about my job. I promise you, not one time. So, I wish we'd kind of move on because it kills us in recruiting. I mean, I was on 6. Get your blood pressure down, Kyle. I was on 6 staffs, and it's a legit question. I'm not disappointed at all. But I was on 6 staffs where you go into the season and everybody's got you fired. Okay. 3 of them was fired during the season. 3 of them were fired the day after the season, and 1 of them was fired before the season. And now it looks but I control this. So am I happy that we are bowl eligible? Yes, for everybody in the building and that staff besides me. I've never worried about that. Still don't. I'm going to be fine one way or the other, but I'm going to fight like hell for the University of Arkansas the entire time that I'm the head coach.
Okay, so I'll give my opinion because I don't know what the true meaning behind it was, and maybe I'm giving him too much credit. I took it as I've never once been worried about my job because, hey, if I lose it, then I lose it. But if I got it, then I'm still, as long as I'm the coach, I'm still going to be the guy. That's how I took it. Maybe I looked at it wrong, but just knowing Sam Pittman and then kind of the context he's given of like, hey, I'll be fine, whatever ends up happening and all of that. But again, goes back to messaging and communication and like the way he puts it may have been a little bit confusing there in how he tried to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, whatever. I get it. The thing about us making a bunch of money off of talking about it is 1, not true. And 2, if people aren't interested and excited about the product on the field, then, like we got to talk about something. He's doing his job. We're doing ours.
Yeah.
Well, and acting like we created this narrative out of nowhere. Like, the Sam Pittman's hot seat was a thing way before Inside Arkansas was even a thing. Yeah. So it's kind of just what we inherited, and we talk about the program. That's what we do. And yeah, I definitely think he was, to your point, John, he was going for the, I only care about the kids. I'm not worried about my own thing. But if we can just get back to like the real world here for a second, he's also a dude who's going to make a shit ton of money if he gets fired. And again, like I actually do kind of agree with the chat sentiment in this of that. Why would he care about his, like, of course, because I mean, if he gets fired, he's going to go to Hot Springs. He's going to make a shit ton of money. If he retires, he's going to go to Hot Springs. He's going to make a shit ton of money. If they win, obviously he gets to continue making a lot of money. Like, I'm sure he actually probably isn't like that worried about it. But if you are worried about the kids, like you being the head coach, I feel like that does, like, the kids are a very important factor in the direction of the program.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be who he is, and he's not really going to change it for anybody. But yeah, as far as the comment there about making money off of it, I've said this a million times. Anybody that thinks that the media or people like on our platform or anybody's platform dictates what fans think, you're out of your mind. Like, you don't know how this works. They dictate our discussions. They dictate what we give them, what they want to hear about. And that's what's being discussed. It's not some narrative that gets driven. It's just a matter of that's what people want. So, yeah, that was a pretty funny little comment there. All right. So I know we got still a lot of things to get into as well, but go ahead and get into your Arkansas update presented by Davis & Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. Fellas, the Razorback soccer team, that was tough. Hated to see that. Losing in the Sweet 16 and penalty kicks last night against Stanford. Frustrating, I know, because those of you who are soccer fans especially, it's like they do such a good job in the regular season, but postseason comes around and they fall a little bit short. So hated to see their season come to an end in the Sweet 16. But that happened.
That's what happened to all the teams but one.
I know. It's sad.
Yeah.
And I hate it too, because it's one of those things I was like, I know that they were going to lose in penalty kicks because there's just how it is. I hate penalty kicks. Only when my team wins, though. That's when I actually like the penalty kicks. So that happened. But also on the recruiting side of things, Arkansas did get a big commitment from over the weekend, as in yesterday, because they got a 2026 wide receiver, trying to pronounce his name right, DeQuane Prevo, one of those. He's 5'10", 160 pounds, and he's a 4-star player. He had offers to Penn State, Oklahoma, and Texas. So he's not part of this class, folks. He's not in the 2025 class. He's 2026. So just want to clarify that. But yeah, that going too. And also, of course, tonight, Razorback basketball's back in action. They're taking on the Humes. They're not really Humes. I just like saying that because it is the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. That game is going to be at 7 o'clock tonight in Bud Walton Arena. I'm sure the crowd will be great. Nobody will complain about it, especially me. But yeah, back in action and continuing to try to build before a big game against Illinois on Thanksgiving Day. I know, Curtis, you're going to be there tonight, and I'm sure I don't know. I just always feel like it's going to be a game that Arkansas should win handedly, and they still will. But then there's still going to be some frustrations that come out of it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to look similar to what all the other home games have, where they play with their food a little bit too much. They'll win by more tonight because Maryland Eastern Shore just isn't very good. But yeah, I mean, it's about Arkansas and just improving on some things and just kind of getting as much confidence as you possibly can, heading in the right direction before this next stretch coming up, starting with Illinois on Thursday. Hopefully they get a guy or two back tonight. We'll see. I mean, whether that happens or not, and then if they look worth a damn while they're out there or not.
I said it the other day, but I know that people like really don't like the short rotation. They don't like the 9 scholarships and all that. And I get all that. We've discussed it in depth a good bit. And so getting an extra guy, if they were to get, let's say, TB back and have it be an 8-man rotation, the difference between 7 and 8 might not sound like a lot. That's a lot, especially whenever you have pretty much one legitimate front court player that's being asked to play more minutes than he probably should be asked to being played. I think it'd be very helpful for this team. Crazy that the spread is up over 33.5 for this game.
It's not.
Where's
not
it
crazy at all. I'm saying
no, I was like, I don't know. I thought it was 33.5. But it is just like, I don't know what to do with this type of game where it's like a 28-point win, and we hype it. We really should be disappointed. So it's like kind of a tough spot, but also a spot you'd rather be in when you're trying to work some guys back in and you're still trying to find your stride as a team.
I'm also disappointed that they're just named the Hawks. I feel like they missed out on a really cool opportunity to have some of the cool, like, your Maryland Eastern Shore, maybe the Clams. like something like
The lobsters.
Yeah, some oysters.
Clams.
Like you could the hawks. It's like no one thinks of a shore on the eastern side of the country as for hawks, but yeah, that's what they'll have.
Jeff, I like the thought. It ain't happening.
Go get Chavis out there. Have him start playing a little bit. Yeah. Well, Braden also asked over under 10,000 people at the game tonight.
Under.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I said that in the preview that I put out this morning. Like, I get it, man. It's a Monday night. It is a holiday week. Like most of the students are going to be gone. It's one of the 3-4 worst teams in Division I basketball. People are getting ready to travel for the holiday. I get it.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily expect last Monday to be an awesome crowd. This one, but I expected it to be better than it was. This is one where you're almost like giving them the free pass to not show up for this one,
right?
Especially since it's given where it's at.
And that's kind of part of the challenge there for Arkansas. Is you're not going to have the energy from the crowd to kind of get you going. So it's one of those situations where you have to create your own and not let that influence the way you come out and start this game. Or just kind of lackadaisical starts or lulls or whatever. Just put your foot on their throat and just be done with it.
Also, if I could touch on the deep bench thing and going deep into it, I get why people say that, but what would that actually accomplish? Because none of those dudes are going to play once you get those other guys back anyway. So it's like literally it would be just giving Carter Knox a breather for a few minutes, which like I guess is not worth nothing, but it's like I don't know what it would accomplish other than just kind of killing time until the rest of your guys get back. Now, obviously, if they have one or two more injuries and it's a 5-man rotation, all right, yeah, maybe I would feel a little bit different, but I don't think any of those dudes are going to help you down the stretch. So I don't know what playing them now, unless it's a blowout, really does.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they get up by 40 and let those guys play a little bit, just so they get the experience of being on the floor in a game or something. But yeah, I'm with you.
I think we've gone the longest of a start of a season without seeing some sort of like walk on or no player that plays much at all get on the floor for at least a little bit. Just hasn't been set up that way at least. But also Ryan says that inside Arkansas, while the crowd's been down in the summer, there was massive excitement. Ryan, I will just revert you back to all of last week's shows and everything. We give all of our discussions and all of our thoughts on that. But as time goes on, we'll see. I wonder what the crowd's going to be like in Kansas City for Thanksgiving, like Razorback fandom wise.
I don't know what to expect for that because it's such a cool deal and one that I feel like Arkansas fans would really, really show out in normally. But it is Thanksgiving. It's just such a big family holiday. So I don't know.
People up in Kansas City maybe who are Razorback fans use that as part of their Thanksgiving holidays. Like, hey, after we get done eating, stuffing ourselves, let's head over to the arena and watch the Hogs.
Right. It'll be cool. Like I don't really have big expectations on Illinois fans come down there, but I hope there's a good crowd there and lively enough atmosphere. It's a really cool arena and it makes sense geographically, but yeah, I really don't know what to expect. Arkansas is going to have more fans than Illinois is. I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I'll agree there too. Also, somebody tweeted at me saying for tonight, what are the chances that we get to see? What are the chances that we get to see Arkansas actually use Big C to go inside and be big down low?
Well,
just
listen,
square peg round hole, eh?
Maryland Eastern Shore is allowing opponents to shoot 63.3% inside the arc. That's as bad as it gets. They offer zero resistance around the rim. 40% of opponent shots become offensive rebounds against these guys. Arkansas shouldn't even shoot a 3 in this game. Honestly, they will, but they should really, really feast inside. I don't know if Big Z's the guy to do that or not, but it would be nice to see him get some post-up scores or, I don't know, just more than 3 rebounds in a game at 7'2". Like I would settle for that. And I would like to see Arkansas get more aggressive on the offensive glass. I get it. Jonas Adu and Trevin Brazil are like the two guys who are going to gobble up most of the offensive rebounds for this team. But my God, I mean, it's when Chin Coleman sits up there before the season and is like, oh, No, man, like our goal is 40% of our misses. We rebound and get second chance opportunities. And then you're getting like 3 or 4 a game. Get your ass in there and get some offensive rebounds against a team that's inferior to you and get some easy buckets.
I want to see some Lob City tonight. I want to see like 9 or 10 lob dunks.
We might. I think we might.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. And hopefully Arkansas's done a pretty good job of it at times, but I've seen some pretty horrendous alley-oop passes in some of these games, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so mad that I made it through a post-game show and a report card without bringing up the 7'2" center trying to throw a lob to 2 guys who tried to jump up and get it like outside the lane. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
That was beautiful. Poetry in motion right there, man.
Cracked me up, man.
Between that and people are going to think I'm hating on him or whatever, but that and then the Nelly attempt where he threw it up and the ball hit the rim. I'm like, alley-oops, you're not supposed to hit the rim. I'm like, just not people. It's like, because I tweeted that out and somebody's like, how do you know it wasn't a shot? I'm like, because he passed it. Like he didn't line up and shoot it. If he was shooting it, then it was even worse.
It seems to me like Boogie Flan and DJ Wagner are probably the guys on this roster that you want throwing lobs.
Yeah.
And then maybe that's it for now.
That's it. Yeah. If Brazil comes back or when he comes back, dude was really good at catching lob passes and dunking it. So get those as many as possible.
Yep.
Make that happen. But also I wanted to bring up this chat real quick because he had mentioned it before, but where'd it go? Oh yeah, it's Finch said, didn't get to see Curtis or Andrew. It was nice to meet you, John. Met him at last Friday night's game. It's good to meet you too, Finch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Like getting to meet the people out there in person and in the wild, but should be interesting. So be sure to tune in and see the Pod at the Palace post-game show following the game tonight against the Humes, University of Maryland Eastern Shore.
I'd say there's no way in hell we talk about this game for an hour tonight, but we will.
It'll happen.
We always seem to.
We talked about the Louisiana Tech game for an hour, dude. That was crazy.
Yeah, we did. We did.
I'm gonna bring this up because it's just so random since we're talking about University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Do you know who one of their wins were against this season? They've only got 2.
I know who both of their wins are against this season.
I know you do, Curtis.
But I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, because one of them makes me laugh really hard. And it's against Penn State Schuylkill. Is that how you say it? Nittany Lions. Mm-hmm. So it is Penn State Nittany Lions, but it's not actually Penn State. It's Penn State Schuylkill Nittany Lions. Won that game. Big one.
When I was coaching at Lindenwood, we started the program from scratch. So it's like when teams go to Division I now, you got like that probation period before you're eligible or whatever. And so before we were eligible to play in the NAIA national tournament and stuff, we were in this other league of independence. It was called the USCAA. And our national tournament every year was at this resort. It was really cool in Pennsylvania. And we would go there and we would see like every Penn State satellite school like that. And there's like 24 of them. And that was one of the schools that was there. It's a non-scholarship independent school. The other school they beat is a Division III, which does not give scholarships either. But yeah, it's
well, I always love when college basketball teams play the games. I mean, obviously Maryland East Shore is not worried about their tournament resume or anything. But like games that like literally hurt you in the metrics when you play them and win them, even if you win them handedly, like all the metrics are like bad, not good. Don't do that.
Yep. And the other one was against the Gallaudet. Gallaudet. So if you want some scouting reports, folks, you'll have to go into some sort of crazy stuff. Yeah, you're gonna have to go to some crazy stuff if you want to find that out. But
they did come within 1 point of Penn and 1 bucket of Old Dominion. It's like they had a couple close games, but Illinois beat them by 47 points. I think they scored 15 points in the first half and they shot like 22% in the game. Illinois shot 10 of 40 from 3 in that game and still won by 47 points.
10 of 40 is crazy.
Yeah. Crazy, man.
I feel bad for Maryland Eastern Shore too, because later this month they have to go to UConn. That is a game on their schedule.
Good.
Caleb Battle.
Yeah. Caleb Battle.
Up, man. Yeah, this could be a historic ass whipping tonight.
Could be.
Caleb Battle plays for Gonzaga, not UConn.
Oh, same thing. Blue Bloods.
Same. Yeah.
It's all together.
Did he consider going to UConn? Did I just completely make that up?
I think so. I think you just made it up. That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. He didn't have to go to UConn.
Tried to put him on the best team in the damn country,
Well,
he would thrive there.
He would. Speaking of, UConn and Memphis actually having some basketball action in the Maui Invitational right now. For those of you,
I must say we're in feast week, man. There's games on all hours of the day for the next 6 days.
Yeah,
it's great stuff. If you're a college basketball fan. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into best and worst of the weekend, presented by the Leroy Lounge here in Fayetteville on Dickson Street. We are normally there Thursdays, but there's this thing called Thanksgiving happening on Thursdays. We're not going to be there. We're going to be there tomorrow night to do the EA Sports College Football Simulation between Arkansas and Missouri, starting at 7 o'clock. So come hang out with us. Come see us. Get your Thanksgiving weekend and week. Start off the right way at the Leroy Lounge. Great drinks, great food, great specials, great TVs, great games. Great for everybody, family, as well as people that just want to have a good time. So we'll be out there. So be sure to hang out with us. Best and worst of the weekend. I'll go ahead and kick it off with my best of the weekend. Was mainly seeing teams that I don't really like in college football fail. And what I mean by that specifically is a team like Ole Miss, for instance. I brought this up on my Locked On Roundtable thing that we do of I had Florida beating Ole Miss. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I called it because it was just a shot in the dark. However, my reasoning behind it was because Ole Miss is one of those programs that every single time they find a way when they're about to take that next step, they're about to get to that point, they find a way to screw it up. The 4th and 25 play is one of my favorite examples of that. They were right there. All they had to do is not stop Arkansas on one play, and they go to the SEC title game. Didn't happen. And so to see that happen, to see Florida win that game, and to also see, the Billy Napier, whatever you care about him, him getting emotional after the game, is just really cool. And that made me really happy that Ole Miss is not going to host a playoff game this year. So I thank you, Florida. Thank you, the Gators. Thank you to the AD, Scott Strickland, for giving that vote of confidence to Billy Napier, because all that came together to knock Ole Miss out of the playoffs and then have just another decent, good Ole Miss football season once again.
Are we sure that they're knocked out of the playoff?
I mean, I think so, but
I think so too.
Again,
but I don't know if it's for sure. I think there's a lot of shit going on where we could end up seeing. Because we talked about this early in the year that a 3-loss team maybe might have a chance to make it. It's going to be interesting down the stretch.
Yeah, but a lot of teams that's lost here this past weekend, and who knows what's going to happen this weekend, but. Yeah, still made me happy seeing that. So that was one of my best of the weekend.
R.I.P. Bama.
I mean, I've got a best of the weekend right along with that, just rubbing it in Ole Miss's face a little bit, because they brought that basketball hoop to Fayetteville and dunked on that thing 18 times. They forgot it at Florida, and the Gators had a little bit of fun with it. Hell yeah.
How do you forget that? I feel like there's probably someone that needs to be in charge of the basketball goal.
Yeah.
And you should know that if you're going to leave it out there, especially after taking an L, something like that's probably going to happen. So yeah, that was good stuff.
No doubt about it, man. My other best of the weekend, this is just basketball nerd stuff, but I got to throw it out there. Ben McCollum, he was just a legendary Division II coach in Northwest Missouri. And he finally got a D1 gig at Drake. Not only is this a D2 coach going to a D1, he took 4 of his starters off of said Division II squad, and they're just beating everybody's ass. And it's awesome. I think they're still undefeated. They just went and won a tournament. They're really, really good. It's fun. And they're doing it with, Division II talent. And shout out to one of their guys, Daniel Abreu. He's from Willard, Missouri. Man, I wrote 100 different reports on this dude when I was scouting for Prep Hoops, and he's a 6th-year senior there now. Now he's playing D1 ball and he's balling out. That's just really cool. Good story.
Curtis, you might have been the best Prep Hoops employee of all time.
People are talking.
Seriously, every single random player you've told me about from your days of scouting has turned out, including Trevin freaking Brazil, has turned out you were dead accurate. Literally 9 years ago, Curtis was yeah, this Trevin Brazil kid, he's projectable, long, athletic, a little raw. He'll have to develop it, but he gave me the exact rundown. It was crazy. But y'all went with playoff implications for y'all's best of the week. But college football, it's not just about the playoff. It's about the kids. It's about putting some pride for your program. Nobody has more pride than this kid, Fernando. I forgot his last name, for Cal. They win their game to go bowl eligible. Y'all want to know why it matters to go bowl eligible in college football? This is why.
Down 21-10 at the start of the fourth quarter. What did it take to come back?
Hey, first of all, I want to give all the glory to God. That was an amazing comeback. It's a testament how tough we are as a team. I love my boys. It's amazing. I'm so proud of everybody's team. We're 6-6. We're bowl bound, and we retain the axe. Go Bears forever. Let's go.
You are so emotional right now, Fernando, in this moment. What's bringing out these emotions for you?
We worked so hard. We worked so hard for this. I apologize for getting emotional, but it's so hard. As an offense, we've done everything that we possibly could have throughout the summer. To being down, having a close game. This has to be the most special moment in my life to date.
Look around at these fans in this moment. What will you remember most from this victory today?
I remember going 98 yards with my boys. 98 yards at that moment. We told them, this is why we did the camping trip. This is why we did every Saturday walkthrough. This is why we stayed late until 9 p.m. watching film together. And so that meant so much to me to go 98 yards against a defense that's been playing great. And we ended up scoring in the clutch.
Fernando, you told us yesterday you just want to hold that axe. So go hold that axe and enjoy this.
Thank you. Go Bears. Let's go.
That's just good stuff right there.
I
That's
too
good
want to
stuff.
go 98 yards with my boys.
Yep. That's what should all strive to do. Also, like the fact that that's the most Cal Berkeley type quarterback with his actions, because, most people have a certain stance, but when he's, hitting his hands like this, he's like, this is what we did. Kind of sounds like, somebody who's not a football player or an athlete that's kind of like running out and being like, I went to the store today and then I did like that. Usually they're like very aggressive or have their hands on their hips or whatever. But I just love the fact that he's hitting his hands like that. Like he's going through a list, letting everybody know.
He said to do this against that Stanford defense.
Yeah, like the 3-9 Stanford Cardinal or whatever. But look, man, this is what makes sports fun. This is what makes it great. I also like
a great ACC rivalry, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Love that. That kid is from Florida, but he's out there in California, and he just loves the program.
Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of that game in particular, I'll throw this in as another best of mine, but don't try to take the helmet of Cal, one of the players, from the GA when you're storming the field.
Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it.
Don't do that.
Just plexing, man.
Dude, like I love the fact that he's just posted up, his arms crossed, and as soon as he sees it, you would have thought that, I mean, he guns it. And honestly, I feel like you, as a person who stole the helmet, should be ashamed of yourself that you got caught that quickly and then body slammed by the man. But
He folded immediately upon arrival too. Just like drop the helmet and everything.
just go after him. So yeah, I love that one. And also, I got a few. I just had a few more, or just one more when it comes to best. But I'm gonna do it because I don't care what anybody says. One of the best of the weekend.
Hey, so Razorback. Hey, what we gonna do?
There's a lot of things there, but Larry being back, it felt right.
I've missed
Felt good.
Larry. I love Cam Ball.
Yeah, the whole dance he broke out in at the end, man. He was feeling himself. He was enjoying himself. Love
Also,
that.
like Larry is just an objectively great bit. Like
It
it really is. And look, evidenced by the fact that when he first brought it out, it was like a sensation that everyone was all happy about. But when you have a season that people don't like, they're really disappointed. People are on the wrong side of history on this one for sure. But it is just one of those things where, like, when you're winning, everything you do is cool. And when you're losing or when fans aren't as happy about it, everything you do is the wrong move. Because I see so many people that are trying to have these like big brain takes where they're like, them busting out the Larry the Ball. It just shows this program where it's at. Just shows what's acceptable. And I'm like, or they were going to do it no matter what. When they got their sixth win, they did the bowling ball. Like, I don't think in that moment they were like, well, we can't celebrate this because our goal was 7, 8, maybe 9 wins. Like,
Yeah,
nobody's thinking about that crap during the game. When you're a college football team and you win a game, you celebrate. Even if you beat UAPB, I'm sure Arkansas celebrated in the locker room. It's not because they're satisfied with it. It's not because that's the only game they wanted. It's just like you work all week, you play on Saturday, you celebrate Saturday night, you get back to work on Sunday. Just how this shit works.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like everybody's said it. Sam Pittman said it. Every player they brought up there to the podium said, hey, no, like 6 wins isn't the goal, but it's a goal, right? And you didn't do it last year. That sucked. Everybody made fun of you. So you checked one off the list there. And yeah, Larry is awesome, man.
Yep. Don't hate on Larry.
The hip injury didn't slow him down. The bowling ball was not a strike, not light.
I'd say we didn't see where it ended. We didn't see where that shot ended up, though. We saw it go in a certain direction, but yeah. For the worst of the weekend, it kind of goes a little hand in hand with what you were talking about with wins and celebrating and all of that. I'm sorry. I'm probably most inconsistent on this, and people may call it out on it. Auburn storming the field against Texas A&M. I don't know, man. That was just, it was a wild game, went 4 overtimes and everything. But I just guess I didn't really feel like that was worthy of a field storming from Auburn. And again, everyone's going to have their own opinions on this. Some people think field storms should never happen under any circumstances. Some people think like, hey, just let the kids have fun no matter what it is. I don't know. I just thought that was very strange. If A&M was number 5 in the country, or top 5 team, or there was a rivalry or whatever, maybe, but 15th and you storm it with no real history or tradition. I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me. And I didn't really like that. But also on the fact, and coddled with that, of course, Auburn got fined $100,000 from the SEC. Oklahoma also stormed the field against Alabama, which I can understand that a little bit more. But they're having to pay another additional $100,000 because they stormed it early. So if you're going to storm the field, can we stop with this thing of storming it before the game's over? Because
that's what's getting on my nerves.
Yeah. Like Ole Miss did this stuff against Georgia. And now you got Oklahoma doing it. Like, how hard is it? How difficult is it you're wanting to do it? You've already waited, because it's not like you just got on the field as soon as that was going on. It's like you've been waiting for it. Just look at the clock. There's plenty of them available. And just be like, okay, once the game ends, let's go. But the second one person goes and everybody goes, and that ends up being, it's just so dumb. Like, it makes no sense. It's wasting money. It's okay if you want to storm the field, but you got to do it on time.
It was
when the game's actually over.
It was one thing at Arizona State where they stormed the field, but then all of a sudden the officials are reviewing. They're like, oh, we're going to put a second back on the clock. Dillingham lost his mind. Okay. But wasn't it like 26 seconds left in the Oklahoma game? Like, it was over or whatever, but like, just wait a second, you idiots. I mean, come on, man. And yeah, the Auburn thing, I've been so torn on it because I agree. It's like, okay, Auburn, you have this tradition and everything. A&M's not, a top 5 team or whatever. But I also understand what that fan base is going through. Like, they lost to freaking Cal at home. They lost to Arkansas at home. Like, it's just been a disaster class, and they continue to find ways to lose these games. And then you finally figure it out in 4 overtimes. Whatever. I'm not that upset about it. But yeah, for the love of God, just let the clock run out before you start running out there. This is crazy.
You got to let the clock run out for sure. But again, guys, it's not a thing where like students are sitting there thinking, well, our football program, 13 years ago, we won the national title, so we can't store. It's like, dude, you're just like college kids on a Saturday night with their only good win of the year. I'm a big proponent of you get one a year. Football, basketball, like whatever it is, you get one a year. And I have no idea. Maybe Auburn stormed against someone else. Maybe I missed it. But I feel like you kind of know when your one is happening. Against Tennessee, that was obviously Arkansas's one. I feel like they used it well. And again, like there's more of a case whenever you're a lower team playing against a higher team. But I think it was just as simple as like Auburn students probably realized, man, this year sucked. And this is like our only chance to have fun. Let's have some fun. And so, yeah, and huge underdog. But yeah, you got to wait until the clock hits 0. You just got to wait until the game's over. It needs to be definitively over.
Wasn't it like a 3-point spread?
Yeah.
Yeah, like they weren't like massive. It wasn't like a thing where I think people think that they see the field stormings or those court stormings and there's a reason for it. It's really just like if you can do it, do it. If you can justify it in any way, you got to do it.
Well, it just makes me happy because Auburn, on all those Auburn fans a couple years ago when Arkansas stormed the court against them, they're like, oh, it's because it's Auburn. It's your Super Bowl and everything. Okay, well, so I guess Texas, y'all's definition over there at Auburn, I guess Texas A&M was y'all's Super Bowl. So,
well, that's my point. Is like everyone can do the thing where they're like, oh, why are you storming? But it's like in the moment when your team wins, it's like, hell yeah, let's go ahead and storm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's my worst of the weekend for me.
I've got two. Did you guys see Ed Cooley?
Yes.
What an idiot!
What did he do?
Well, I'll show you. This was after a game. He was talking about the development of Jaden Epps, who transferred over to them from Illinois.
But I've also seen a growth in Jaden. I've talked to him yesterday in practice. I talked to him today before the game. His development defensively is I mean, it's almost like it's a new player. But it's something that I saw him in his freshman year when he played for that other bullshit school. So, you know, and I'm pretty sure that'll make national news when I say that, but I never said the school it was.
What an idiot, man. Like, that would be cool if you weren't objectively the worst power conference program in the country right now. Like, you're down there with DePaul, guy. So who are you talking about development? What's the bullshit school right now? Is it Georgetown or is it Illinois? So that was just a weird stray to throw out there. Like partly I like it because it's funny, but it's also like, bro, have a little bit of awareness of your own situation, man. That's insane.
His PR has been bad here the last couple years.
It has.
I mean, honestly, like he just ruined all. If he would have stayed at Providence for 1,000 years, he would have remained cool for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
It's been all downhill, and I think he kind of knows that. That's why he's trying to be a villain these days. But I still secretly just love Ed Cooley, though. I just really like him for whatever reason.
It's almost like it just slipped out of his mouth, and he was doing the internal gymnastics while realizing, like, oh, I actually just said that, and he's like, yeah, it's going to make national news.
100%. Yeah, when I saw that, you could see even the player on his right, just when he said, he just goes. Yeah, I just went really wide, as in like, oh, geez, man. And
they asked Brad Underwood about it on Saturday after their game. He was like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah. That was just dumb. I get it. I love coaches being, off the cuff and talking like that, but just like you said, it'd be one thing if you were really good over there, Ed Cooley, but you're not.
Speaking of coaches off the cuff and just talking, my ultimate worst of the weekend is Eli Drinkwitz, right? I mean, brother, you guys are arguably the biggest bust in college football this year. I mean, you had a cakewalk to the playoff, and you're not going to make it. And now you're trying to dunk on Mississippi State. Come on, man. Like, don't you have a Chuck E. Cheese to be hanging out outside of? What's wrong with this dude? He's a clown, bro. We stand on business. Shut the hell up, man. I really, really, really hope that Arkansas goes up there and blows them out. They probably won't, but I really wish they would.
You could tell he was talking to no one because he said, "Hey, Mississippi State." Like, what does that even mean? Like, was Jeff Lebby talking? Was he flapping his gums? Like, who is he directing that at? Like, the fans? Like, I just don't understand.
He just doesn't. He just sucks. I mean, just plain and simple. He just sucks, and nobody wants to be around him. Nobody likes him. But for those of you who couldn't read lips, he said, "Shut the F up, or I'm gonna score." Because they were so close to the goal line and everything. And it's like, he has embraced that role, I guess, of being that guy. But I just don't understand why anybody would want him to be like, is he going to get a better job at any point? I just don't know. And he's had that one really good season. But like you said, Curtis, I'll be that guy. If Arkansas had Missouri's schedule this year, I would make the argument they'd have the same record. I mean, maybe even better. Just to be honest, because Missouri, I still don't know how it happened. I still have no clue how Missouri was able to get a schedule like this. But I mean, their best win this season, where it stands right now, ladies and gentlemen, was against Vanderbilt by 3.
Yeah,
it's their best win. I think
Arkansas would have lost to Boston College. That's the only one I would say Arkansas would have lost.
Just randomly, but yeah, that they barely beat Auburn. They needed a miracle to beat Oklahoma. The end, and so I'm over it. If
Arkansas beats Missouri, you think Missouri fans are going to start like getting a little worried?
I mean, I would,
because now they would still finish like 7-5 this year if they beat Arkansas, or 8-4.
They'd be 9-3 if they beat Arkansas.
And if they lose to Arkansas, they'd be 8-4.
Yeah,
I know that 8-4 is like nothing to scoff at, obviously. But again, we talked about the schedule. But I think it would come back to, it's like, would you expect to be better next year? Can't be, right? With a new quarterback, with new receivers. So it's like, I think there would be if they lose to Arkansas to end the year, which again, losing to Arkansas at home, something they have not done. I think that would have to like maybe give them a little bit of concern. And then going into next year, I feel like there'd be some pressure.
It'd just be funny.
Do that to anybody else. Like if you want to be that guy, like at least he was talking to Josh Heupel when he was out there doing the cringy stand on business thing. Like at least that was a decent team.
Full sprint.
Yeah, like Mississippi State's only win in the last 90 days is UMass or whatever. Like they're obviously going through it. It's Jeff Lebby's first year. That's who you want to dunk on. I don't care what they're saying. Come on, man.
By winning by 19.
Yeah,
by
bravo,
19
dude.
against
Like,
them.
you probably should have scored more on that team, frankly.
Yeah, exactly. Congrats on your 39 against the defense that's allowing 45 or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember a few weeks ago whenever the ball boy was like trying to start beef with Colorado and like was trying to like knock the ball out of someone's hand, and I guess he knocked it out of Shedeur Sanders' hand or whatever, and it was a whole thing. There's been an uptick in ball boys being bowled. And there was a little bit of a scuffle at one of these games regarding a ball boy.
Why?
Dude, I don't know why these ball boys are becoming such hardos. Like they're like really adamant about going and getting the ball or whatever. Like, I don't know. And then he just gets knocked over and nobody goes to help him up. It was hilarious, man. I loved seeing that.
I don't understand. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the qualifications or what all goes into it for ball boys, but thought it was just like, hey, if you're a ball boy, go over and try to get the ball. And if they refuse to or whatever, just be like, all right, well, I'm going to go tell our coaches, like, yeah, you wouldn't give it up to me. It's just go fight him.
Like 2 or 3 weeks ago on that SEC teleconference, somebody was asking all the coaches about ball boys and like their interactions with them on the sideline. And Sam was pretty funny. He's talking about how he's, just gives them trouble sometimes, like messing around with them, whatever. But then he was like, hey, some of the schools got a dog out there, runs out there and gets the tee, them kickoffs. And that's cool. Yeah. Leave those guys alone, man.
Yeah. Just let them do their job. Come on. That's all they want. Yeah. But that was pretty, I don't know, funny, I guess, but also sad at the end. So, all right, is that up for our best and worst? Everybody get
I mean, there's a lot of bad things that happened this weekend, but that was that. I didn't have anything like really worth selling you guys on as the worst of the weekend.
No, well,
Texas had such a horrible loss that put me in such a bad mood yesterday. Just a disgusting loss. You let Will Levis beat you. That's just disgusting.
That's tough.
It was pretty bad. Also get kind of annoyed with how Kansas City just continues just to win. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I will guarantee right now here on this program, Kansas City is not winning the Super Bowl. It's not a Super Bowl team. I know they're going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC, might even be the number 1 seed in the NFL. Not a Super Bowl team this year. They ain't got it. They don't have that dog in them. They don't have the hunger in them. They will lose. This is also, well, speaking of the NFL, it's also random. Also, I hate the Colts uniforms yesterday. Did y'all see that?
Ugh, yes, I did.
But I don't understand. Like, they have black helmets with blue.
Weird alternate uniform.
Yeah,
thing.
they're like, it's all alternates. And I'm like, you don't have black in your logo. Or it just looks weird. Like, I can understand black and white, but if you go black and blue, the contrast looks terrible. I think like they just try too hard. So, yeah, that wasn't great. I did like also. I wish I could play, but the Tommy DeVito dance that Baker Mayfield did, that made me happy. Him doing out there. He's probably going to get He's probably going to have his family get attacked over there by the mafia here soon. But
yeah, it was a little dangerous. Man, I just hate that we're going to miss Tommy DeVito versus Cooper Rush because it overlaps with Arkansas, Illinois.
Man, it's we're just going to have to find a way to get through it.
Cooper Rush won. But I'll say that's the worst of the weekend. Did y'all see how not the Redskins, the Commanders lost?
Yes.
Had like a huge 90-yard touchdown just to miss the extra point. Brutal.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was a bad hold. It's a bad hold, man. But there was a lot of points. And then the onside kick, they tried to do the Arkansas onside kick that they did against Bama. That was so successful. And this time the guy just took it and the Dallas Cowboy guy just caught it and ran it back for a touchdown on an onside kick. So it was like 20 some odd points was scored in the final 5 seconds. It felt like
it was like 13-9 with 5 minutes left, and then it ended up being whatever.
34-26. Yeah. Just a chaotic there. But, well, all right. Well, that does it for us. Guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day on Inside Arkansas Live?
Nope. See all you smiling faces or chatters at about 9:30 tonight.
I like that this game's at 7:00.
Me too.
So we y'all at midnight. We'll see y'all like a reasonable hour. Let us be the last thing you do before you go to sleep.
That's right.
Yeah. So be sure to check it out, folks. And once again, if you do have tickets you're trying to get rid of, hit me up and I'll try to make sure Razorback fans get them for tonight's game. But that does it for us here on Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to us here on Inside Arkansas Live on our YouTube page. You can also get after us on our social media on Inside Arkansas. Check out our website with all the latest and greatest up-to-date information on InsideArkansas.com as well. And we'll keep it going from there. So for Andrew Ellis as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. We'll see you tonight. Pot at the Palace, post-game show following Arkansas in the Humes. Actually, the Hawks.